Friday, September the 12th, Harrah's Hoosier Park is going to present a great card with over $1.4 million worth of purse money on the line. You can watch all the action up on DRF. Just check out the QR code on your screen. There's also a link to some free PPs. Also, where this video is going to live, which is kind of cool. Hoosier Park is going to present two huge Grand Circuit races on the card. They are going to be races 9 and 11, but there's also going to be a pick four, $10,000 guarantee pick four is races 12 through 15, and a $10,000 guaranteed high five in the finale in race 15. Post times 5:30 p.m. We're going to take a look at race number 9 first, which is the Jim Doherty Memorial for $464,000. And don't forget the $400. And I love the fact that the girls are going for more than the boys in this race, Matt.
Girl power, I guess you could say. Starting out, I guess people that are maybe recognize the names of these stakes races, but not the venue is, was it last year or 2 years ago that these races moved to Hoosier from the Meadowlands? These two big 2-year-old races. And we'll start with the Jim Doherty Memorial 2-year-old fillies. This is one of the two win and you're in, getting entry to the 2025 Breeders' Crown, which is kind of interesting. And we have what I think is a wide open race, especially with the morning line favorite stuck on the outside. So I went with a price, and I don't know where you went, but let's find out.
Well, why don't we look at a couple of horses in the field first? And the morning line favorite is Atlantic Summer. 2-1 seems a little short on a horse that really hasn't put up many wins this year. 1 for 5. Granted, she has been racing against some good company. The horse that beat her last time in the Pennsylvania Sire Stakes final, Ginger Tree Lex, I think is like 7 for 8 lifetime, and she's been pretty darn good. So, and what's interesting is here you're getting a whole bunch of horses from different regions. Pennsylvania Sire Stakes, New Jersey Classic, Kentucky Sire Stakes. So you're getting a lot of different horses coming together, all looking for that big pop, Matt.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. It's interesting when you try to figure, kind of class wise or what circuit is better or stronger. So yeah, we have a bunch coming from Kentucky, and the lower level Sire Stakes, middle level, top level. We have we mentioned Atlantic Summer coming from the Pennsylvania Sire Stakes. We have a couple of New Jersey classic horses. One from the Michigan Fair Circuit, who I think.
Why don't we talk about the Michigan Fair horse, Matt? West Wind's Yahtzee, number 6, comes in from the Michigan Fairs. This horse is 5 for 6 with a second place finish. It's very hard to figure out, what to do with this horse. I tried to find video from the Hastings, which is basically the Northville meet, I think.
Right.
And I couldn't find it the last 2 starts, but I was able to go back and find video from August the 9th at the Midland Fair. So we don't get to watch too many fair races. Let's take a look at the video from this one. And then West Wind's Yahtzee is on the inside with Lil Wayne Miller, who's the trainer driver, and he's going to just she's going to put this field away here.
The time is not the fastest, but the quarter mile coming home was a nice little sprint there to hold the competition at bay, sub 30 seconds. And we mentioned we mentioned local horses from Indiana, from Kentucky, from Jersey, from Pennsylvania, and from the Michigan Fair Circuit. But yes,
Matt, can this horse drop the 7 seconds it needs or whatever to be?
It's really tough. It's really tough to gauge. It really is, because we see fair horses a lot, especially a lot in Ohio, going to the pari-mutuel tracks and racing there, and they pick up 3-4 seconds and they're competitive. But it's not often we see a horse from the fair circuit. And granted, she's been going for a lot of money. Her last win at Hastings was for $87,000. But this is a major Grade 1 stakes event, and I got to see something more, maybe on a commercial racetrack before I can dip in with a fair horse. However, I guess this is the week you can get some sort of price. So I'm sure there will be a little curiosity money. But I guess if you willing to take a stab, and she's going to perform well, this is the week you get a price. If that happens, then I will be ripping up my tickets.
Creator 7-2 on the morning line here, Matt. Won the last race by 3 and change, and kind of just blew away the field. But wasn't exactly a heavy favorite in that race, because the horse that was favored in that race was Laney W. And I was going to show that replay, but I went back and watched it, and you really couldn't see what happened, which is Laney W stepped on the wheel of the horse in front of her and ended up making a break.
Yeah, I mean, how she was 1-5 that day, and she was kind of gapping cover a little bit, gapping on the rim.
She must have been close enough to step on a wheel.
No, well, she was gapping cover until a horse slid out in front of her, and then it looked like when she was going to tip wide for the long stretch drive. We don't really know what she had because, yeah, she stepped. She was started with a DX, which means, I guess the driver's default. I'm trying not to knock Scott's ear on here, but hey, that's what happened, or at least that's how the judges saw it. She won 3 prior to that in the Commonwealth level of the Kentucky Sire Stakes. I'm not sure what to make of her start last out. What I do know is you're going to get a way much bigger price than 1-5 as she faces much stiffer competition here. And I just see a big question mark coming into the race because she didn't look loaded and ready to continue her winning streak. But with that said, you can go about 8 different ways in this race. So Scotty Z on a horse that's middle of the road morning line 7-1, I couldn't fault anybody for taking a stab, especially with the Marcus Melander horse.
Well, why don't we take a look at our picks for the Jim Doherty, and obviously a big Grand Circuit race with a lot on money, and nothing makes me happier than going with the horse that Matt can't stand, and that's Laney W. If you look back at those lines, everything looks good in those lines. Granted, it's just the Commonwealth, but you'll see a lot of these connections, racing the second level sire stakes rather than the main division, just trying to get easier spots and, keep their horse happy and healthy. And then at the end of the year, you see them in the Breeders' Crown and you're like, well, I guess this horse was really good. So I went with Laney W as my top pick, 7-1 on the morning line. I think I got a good price. Atlantic Summer, I watched this horse baby race, and I thought this horse was going to be super, and really hasn't stepped forward. So we're going to see how the Pennsylvania Sire Stakes steps up, versus some of these other horses. But I think there's more there than meets the eye. And then I took a shot with the West Winds Yahtzee horse, who I don't know what to make of the horse, but the lines look good, and I expect she's going to drop a lot of time. Whether it's going to be enough, I don't know. Matt went a completely different way and has a Hall of Famer in the bike.
For start, to comment on your West Winds Yahtzee selection, she does pick up a new driver in Kyle Wilfong catch driving, because the way Miller trains too, and he's going to, I guess you could say, sticking with number 8, Swan Graceland.
Well, I think he's a part owner of the other horse, and
that would certainly make sense. But regardless, you're getting a new driver on West Winds Yahtzee. Whether that works in her favor or not, that remains to be seen. I went in a different direction here with a Hall of Fame driver. I can't say recently retired Jimmy Takter, because it's.
Well, how about we call him a Hall of Fame trainer who happens to be a driver?
Has he? You know what? He still jumps on the bike sporadically, and he is certainly. It's like riding a bicycle. Do you really ever forget? I mean, yeah, there could be a little rust. However, you're talking about different levels of the Kentucky Sire Stakes. And she came out of the top level where she raced, basically she raced 4 starts after winning an overnight race. She hasn't been great, but she certainly hasn't been bad. And the competition certainly has to be tougher than the Commonwealth, or even I believe it was the Goldenrod or the Wildcat, or, those are the lower levels. I just see an opportunity for a Nancy Takter horse that's really looked sharp in her first parimutuel win. And basically, she's going to be a price. And I think even though the results haven't been there, I think she's every bit as fast with final times and final quarters. She's been close up in all those finishes, just hasn't really, knocked it out of the park. And if I'm getting double digits at 15-1 on a horse that's already been racing at the highest level versus some other horses, I think she stacks up with the Pennsylvania breds, with the local horses, with the horses coming out of Jersey, and I'll take a shot at. I don't even know what kind of price she's going to be.
She's maybe probably the best bred horse in the field. She's Giwner out of Shaky Kerry.
So yeah, it's like every on paper, kind of everything is there. And will people shy away from Jimmy Takter driving? I don't know. I mean, they certainly don't shy away from Nancy tactic training. So in a wide open race where you can't make a case for anybody strongly, maybe it sets up for some sort of crazy finish, and why not go with a big price?
Well, the Jim Doherty is clearly a wide open race, but the next race we're going to look at, which is the Peter Houghton Memorial, race number 11 on the card, not quite as wide open, Matt. As you can see, the morning line kind of tells the story here. You have an even money shot in Apex, and Magic Punk is the 5-2 second choice. It's pretty clear, where the money's going to land.
Do you think these two horses? I was just going to ask you if you think these two horses run away with the wagering, but yeah, I mean the Apex with Dexter Dunn for Marcus Melander, yes, will be an odds-on favorite, and Okies Fonstedt. I guess you could say the morning line's kind of got it right here.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Why don't we take a look at the Apex's last race? It was the New Jersey Classic final. Right now he's sitting the pocket behind Diabolic Hill, who's going to actually end up making a break later in the mile. But Apex is just going to cruise clear. I mean, literally, like Dexter Dunn is kind of sitting in the bike, and he's not. I could have driven this horse in one like.
No, you probably would have been off stride in the first turn, but that's beside the point. Speaking of off stride, the breaker and the stretch makes the final margin of victory a little bit more. Makes it a little more dominating. But granted, she would have won by a couple lengths easily, rather than 5 and change. But yeah, that's her second start in a row, 4 out of 6 lifetime. A post where Dexter Dunn can, I would imagine, make that kind of, quarter move or 5/8 type move or something like that. Not 5/8, I'm sorry, 3/8 move. Make it to the front at some point and have to be chased. I think obviously Okies Fonstedt, you can imagine he's not going to want to get away 7th with Magic Punk. She'll be on the move early, and I think maybe the way Fonstedt drives aggressively sometimes, maybe the race kind of goes through her. If he really, puts the pedal to the metal and wants to take control, maybe he stuffs Dexter Dunn in behind him. I think that could be interesting.
I think Dexter would probably be fine sitting in the pocket here. Notice the last 2 times Magic Punk was out there, it was Dexter Dunn in the bike, and now Okies Fonstedt's back in the bike here. I think Dexter would be fine sitting in the pocket. I think he, feels like, push comes to shove and it's a sprint, that his horse is very much capable of, getting past Magic Punk. But I mean, these two just jump off the page. So why don't we just put up our picks? Because there's no sense like analyzing the field when there's 2 horses here. I went the 2-7 route. Matt went the 7-2 route. So why don't we just mention our third horses? I went with Whose Eyes Blues, who, trainer Ron Burke really thought was going to be one of his top trotters, and it just hasn't materialized yet. I think, maybe moving to the big track here, and, Hoosier kind of plays a little differently than some other tracks. I figured maybe that new surface might help this horse out, and maybe you'll get a better effort. You went with the 8, the complete chalk trifecta.
I think it is going to be a kind of a wide open affair, I think, with the bettors for third, if they think the 2 and the 7 lay over this field. It's interesting. The 10 is Chapter 7 coming from New York. So she's bounced around, half-mile tracks, 5/8 tracks, 7/8 tracks. Her break last start before the start of Batavia, can you kind of excuse that? Although it was a $300,000 race, but yeah, she was a big price from the outside. Kind of hard to gauge what kind of trip she's going to get. Meanwhile, speaking of breakers, I use Mrs. Big Spender for third. When she trots, she's talented. And maybe she's on that break every other start pattern, which means, she's going to be good on Friday night. So I use her with Mike Wilder for Norm Parker for third. And yeah, you could say I'm chalking it out on the morning line, but at least I'm using Magic Punk on top, looking to get a solid second choice action home.
I would agree with you on one thing, that, if there's going to be a horse that's going to split the 2 and the 7 in the exact here, it's probably going to be Mr. Big Spender if he decides to behave, because he's certainly the most talented. But that's race 11 on the card. Obviously, there's 15 races on the card. Post time starts at 5:30. You can check out all of the live action on DRF. Until next time, good luck.